Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PatFacts. Patrick here, Pat on your back, personal fitness. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday. Tonight, we're going to talk about peaks and valleys. We talked last week about consistency, coming out of halftime, which is kind of end June, early July, halftime moment of the year. Now we're going to talk about peaks and valleys a little bit because we've been going through them more than likely. Or if you haven't, you could be, as we continue to travel on that road towards our big goal that we set back at the end of last year coming into this year. So I think of a few different strategies to help us get through these moments, to enjoy and embrace the good moments when they're there and learn from them as well, and be able to handle those valleys, those deep moments when maybe things aren't quite going the way you had hoped or envisioned or anticipated. What can we do to keep moving through those? Because life is a series of ups and downs. It's peaks and valleys. Things are going really good. Things maybe get to be a little rough at times. We all go through those. So just looking at different ways to manage those and to understand that's normal. It happens. Again, you've probably gone through some on this voyage to your goal so far. And just life in general, there's peaks and valleys. When things go really well, when things go poorly, the old adage, everything happens in threes. When some bad news starts to come, hey, Bonnie, welcome in, good to see you. When some bad news happens or bad things tend to happen, it's the rule of three. You always see that brought up. We go through that that valley, but then that takes us back up toward our peak. So again, if you're not in a valley right now, if you're on the peak and things are working well and life's going great and you're checking off those boxes on your trip towards your goal, awesome. Enjoy it, embrace it, learn from it. This would create your when life works list that we talked about. This is what you would take from now when you're at this peak, this crest of things going really well for you and working. Things are smooth, things are efficient. Okay, let's take note. What am I doing right now? So that when, probably not if, but when we go down into that valley and have trouble, have some struggles, have some hurdles, have some roadblocks, okay, what's changed from the peak to now? Is there something I can maybe get back to? Is there a habit I fell out of? Is there a skill I missed along the way that I need to kind of brush up on to get me back on track? Or it's just a bit of downtime that I have to go through to kind of build myself up, to get myself going again. And we can work through those peaks and those valleys and learn from both. But just be sure to, firstly, to know that it is natural. Everyone goes through them. They happen. Sometimes the valleys feel much deeper than the peaks feel high, or the valleys feel wider than the peaks. Remember, a mountain does this though, so there's a little bit at the top. Sometimes those valleys are a little deeper. We got to work through them. But again, remember, it's all gearing you up for that next peak. So even if you're in a valley right now, it's okay. It's part of the process. It's part of the journey. Again, look at it, learn from it. Are there things now that aren't working? Are there things maybe that, again, you were doing that maybe you've fallen out of? Maybe you're not as efficient with a certain habit or a practice that you put in place to help you progress towards your goal. What can you do to bring that efficiency or proficiency back up to keep you back on track? Or again, is it time to revisit that game plan like we talked about a couple of weeks ago at our halftime report? Is it time, have you been stuck in a rut for a while? Maybe again, it's time to bring up that game plan and review it. Do I need to make tweaks and adjustments and changes? Have I veered away from the game plan? Did I kind of forget what I set out as a system and a plan? I took a left, I wanted to take a right. I should be going this way. Let's get back on track. Let's get going. Or I've been following this, but life has given me this battle, this obstacle. So I've got to change the game plan a little bit to respond to what life has presented me with. Let's tweak it. Let's change it up. Again, a lot of people get into the valley or into the ruts, and that's when that negative energy comes in the negative self-talk, the sort of failure mindset. Here we go again. I'm not going to succeed. I can't see the light. I'm in too deep. It's a dark hole. We can get out of it. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some work. It's going to take patience and consistency. We talked about consistency last week. A sort of a foreshadow to this is that will be the key to help keep you going forward, even if you're in that deep valley, even if you're not quite where you want to be and things don't feel quite right. Being consistent with your progress towards your goal, again, keeps that positive momentum going forward. Otherwise, we create negative momentum, which does build up and work against us. We want to keep that positive momentum building. So consistency will be the key to keep that going for you. So no matter what, try your best to be as consistent as you can to your plan. And if you missed our episode last week, again, pop it in like it's a VHS, pop it in the VCR, pop back and check it out on consistency and find some tips and tricks for that, and find ways to be more consistent or to build some more consistency into your habits. And that will help you keep things again rolling forward and moving forward. So when you are in these deep valleys and it feels like maybe everything's against you, the odds are stacked, that consistency will at least keep you progressing. And if nothing else, you can give yourself that, I'm going to do it, pat on your back, and say, you know what, I don't feel like I'm progressing as I should be, but today I checked the box next to my plan for today. I stay consistent with my routine. I had to modify it a little bit. I had to maybe bring down the intensity or the frequency, or I had to change what I was doing today, but I stayed on track. I still picked something from my plan and I did it. Maybe I flip-flopped the days to get through today a little bit. That's okay. Consistency is the key that will keep the positive momentum going to help us get out of that valley. Welcome in, Nads. Good to see you. If you think of if you've been on the highway, maybe you don't notice as much here, but out east there's more hills and things on the highways, and there's a lot less traffic. So you kind of notice this a little bit, maybe more so than here. But if you've ever been around an 18-wheeler on the highway, if they're going through a little valley into a peak, what do they usually do? They usually try to roll with the hill. If they go down the hill, they usually try to leave it foot off the brake if they can, try to build a little bit of momentum, because that heavy load they're carrying when they go uphill, it's going to drag them back. It's going to slow them down a little bit. So you'll see transport trucks will try to get a little momentum going down the hill. They'll try to build some speed if they can, so that when they get going up the hill, they have that positive momentum already taking them up, so they don't slow down quite as much. And that's what consistency will do for us. It'll give us that momentum. So even if we're, again, at the top of that peak or maybe heading into a valley right now, we want to keep that momentum going so that it's easier to come up the other side when it's time to come out of that valley. And hopefully that consistency should minimize the time we're in that valley. If we're being consistent with what our plan is and being true to who we are, that should minimize that downtime for us. That dark, that struggle, those obstacles maybe aren't as big to us because we've got that positive momentum building. So that's why we talked last week about consistency so much, because it's such an important part of keeping us on track, but also giving us the momentum that we need to work through these valleys and these peaks and get into the valley to get up, working towards that next peak. We need that positive energy, that positive momentum. And if we spend too much time in the valley or kind of succumb to the valley where we're just there and go, well, I guess we're here. It's the dark time. It's the rough time. Here we go. I guess this is the end. And then it will be. We're going to lose all the momentum. And even if you decide, you know what, no, I'm going to stick with it. That little bit of time where you sort of thought, oh, well, here, I guess this is where I'm supposed to be. You're almost starting from scratch. You're starting from zero. You have no momentum. You have no energy to help push you up that hill. You're starting from zero. If you think of it even on your bicycle, if you're going through a little valley into an uphill, you coast. You pedal quick maybe at the top of the hill to get some momentum. You coast down the hill to gain that speed, and that helps take you up the next hill. And then you start to pedal when you need that. Or you gear down and pedal to keep yourself going, rather than stopping at the bottom of the hill and then trying to pedal up. It's a lot more difficult. Same thing for this. We want to keep that momentum going. And consistency is that coasting or that burst of pedaling we put in at the top of the other hill to really get us going with that speed. Or it's that truck you maybe giving a little bit of gas to go down the hill to get some more momentum going to, again, come up the other side. So consistency, we talked about last week, is a big key for dealing with these peaks and valleys. And we're talking specifically within kind of your goal. On your path towards your goal, you're going to have peaks and valleys. But in life in general, you're going to go through peaks and valleys, and they will affect your progress towards your goal. But again, the best thing we can try to do is stay consistent with our day, as consistent with our routines as we can. And it's tough when, again, life hands you certain obstacles. There's heaviness. There's a lot of things to deal with. But if you can do that, again, we keep that momentum going, you can usually keep a clearer mind and be a little more on task with things. And the energy is there. You can better manage emotions and mental state of things that you're doing. Because you can give yourself, again, that pat on your back, or you can check that box today to say, I accomplished something. If you ever watched the video, but I believe it's a former Marine saying that in the military, they make the bed. In the morning, you get up and you make your bed because you've accomplished something. You're already in that state of mind of accomplishing things. And if the day goes all haywire, you can look back and say, you know what? I got up and I made my bed. I accomplished something. I accomplished one of my tasks for the day. And it creates that positive framework, that positive mindset that hopefully, again, will build that momentum for us through the day. But if nothing, it gives you that reassurance that, hey, I can do this. I can work through. I can get something done when things are tough. And that experience that creates confidence in you that when things get tough again, you can do things because you've already shown that you can. So usually for most of us, consistency typically, I don't want to say is the easiest way to keep going. But in theory, it should maybe be the less difficult, because if you're being consistent, things are already there. You have a system, you have a plan you're following, you have a goal that you set that you're working towards, you have habits. You're just staying consistent. You're just doing, again, what's working for you, or what you're intending to do, or what you've been doing. So again, it creates that sense of accomplishment each day, so that if nothing else, you stuck to that plan. Things are tough right now. Life's handing me a bunch of stuff to deal with, but I stay true to my plan. I got my tasks done, progressing towards my goal. Maybe the progress is a little slower right now. Again, maybe I had to modify things. That's okay. We can modify, but we stay consistent. And as we stay consistent, again, that keeps that momentum going. So when we hit the end of that valley and go up that next peak, that next hill, we've got momentum on our side. We can hit the ground running and move ourselves up and forward. And then it can get us to the top, hopefully that much sooner. And then we can enjoy that next peak, which hopefully that peak lasts longer. Hopefully it's an up and a level for a while before the next valley. And that consistency and that planning, the systems we put in place, hopefully the idea would be that the valleys maybe aren't so deep the next time. If you're in a bit of a valley now, or you're struggling through things, again, try to not look at it as failure or slowing you down, but just an opportunity to learn more about yourself. Maybe it's a flag. Our pal Brendan Burchard likes to say that obstacles are usually should be reminders that we need to learn new skills. Setbacks are reminders. Maybe this valley is a flag to you to say, hey, maybe you should work on that skill you wanted to work on 6 months ago. Maybe you need to take that course you're going to take and haven't yet. Maybe that conference coming up would be a good break for you to get out and learn some new things, and maybe network with some people that are on the similar path as you. Maybe you can use the opportunity. I'm going to scale back my goal progression. I'm going to modify my plan so I can stay consistent with it, but I'm going to modify it. But I'm going to use some of that extra energy and complete this task, complete this course, learn this new skill. I'm going to read this new book that I've been meaning to read about X, Y, and Z that's going to help me progress towards my goal. Try to learn from the obstacle, from the valley, or use it as an opportunity to learn. And again, that'll help you come out of that much more efficiently. And again, it should help the valley be not so steep, not so deep the next time, or not so wide. Again, life ebbs and flows all the time. You're going to have to work through those. But if we can prepare and create systems as much as possible, then we try to minimize the downtime. We try to minimize the negative. We try to minimize the obstacles and the struggles. We're going to at least work through them as much as we can. That's right, Nats. You win or you learn, never fail. And remember, we've talked, I think, before, the acronym that people like to use. FAIL is the first attempt in learning. FAIL, first attempt in learning. So you weren't successful, but you learned what didn't work, or you learned maybe a bit more about yourself, or how to handle certain things, or just what not to do, what doesn't work, what isn't going to get you where you want to be. That's still learning. You gain knowledge about yourself or the situation that now you can apply to the next attempt. And then you can sail your second attempt in learning your way towards your goal with that new knowledge and that new energy and the positivity and those new experiences. Thinking of anything that you've learned, you failed at it when you first started. And then the more you did it, the better you got at it. Those failures were learning what not to do, how much to turn the wheel of your bike when you want to make a corner. Is it a full sharp turn, or is it a gradual turn? When do I do sharper turns versus gradual? Should I pedal around a corner? When do I use my brakes? Should I aim for that tree? Different things to work on. You learn from them. You learn from the experiences. That's what these valleys will be for you. More opportunities to learn about yourself and the process you're going for, and the systems you're putting in place, that again, the next goal you set, you just plug into the system, and you take, yes, the successes and the accomplishments, and celebrate them and put those into the system, but also the failures, the obstacles, the setbacks, the hiccups, whatever you want to call them. You take from those too and learn from them, and put the fixes or the solutions to those problems into that system as well, to make it that much more efficient. Well, in the chat here, gang, Nat says obstacles equal knowledge. For sure, obstacles and equal knowledge. So you have to learn from what you had to do to get over that obstacle, through that obstacle, around that obstacle, whatever it was. You learn from it. It's difficult, it's challenging, it's tiring, but again, you gain knowledge from it in the end. The important thing is to take some time and acquire that knowledge, actually be aware of that knowledge, and let it sink in a little bit. Maybe you write it down in your journal where you're tracking, you post it, put it in your app, whatever you're using, but maybe put it somewhere so you have it to come back and reflect on it, and again, learn from it. And Bonnie says here, when you fail, you learn. For sure. That's what failure is. It's learning what didn't work that time, and now you can improve the next attempt and make it a little better. Looking back in history, the Wright brothers, they didn't get the airplane the first try. They took many different attempts, and those failures taught them what didn't work, what wouldn't get us off the ground and in for flight. So the valleys will be that for you. There'll be those chances. You'll learn from the peaks as well. We like to learn more from the peaks because it feels better. We're having success. Things are going smoothly. But we need to be able to learn from the valleys as well. So be open to it. Be accepting of it. Again, it's going to happen. Try not to dwell on it. Accept it. And then try to gear it and use it for you. Build momentum from that. Keep the consistency going throughout to keep that positive momentum, and learn from that obstacle, those obstacles, whatever's been there in front of you. And then again, the next time, the valley shouldn't be so deep, or the valley shouldn't be so long. Or even if it is, you'll be better prepared to manage it because you've been through one already, and you've learned from it, and you've applied what you've learned to it, to what you're doing now. And then each valley builds that muscle so that each one gets a little more efficient. And then we can enjoy those peaks even more, or those peaks become a little bigger for us each time because we have more momentum going, and we've learned so much. We can get through those valleys quicker. We can use that momentum to go down and come right back up as soon as we can, with a good momentum to get back to that next peak. And then we are able to spend more time at those peaks. And there's no set time. You don't know that there's going to be a 1 week peak and a 1 week valley, or a 3 year and a 3, or a 2 and a 1. Again, it's going to ebb and flow and be really different. But the more we can practice, even within this goal-specific process, we build the muscle, we build the skill of dealing with obstacles and peaks and valleys, and learning so that, again, when life absolutely throws something major at us, it's okay. It's rough. We need to acknowledge it. We need to mourn or deal with it or in our way. But we've got a process. We've got a practice. We've got habits and consistency that we've built through these little peaks and valleys within trying to accomplish this goal, that we can say, oh, you know what? We dealt with obstacles all through this time. I've learned how to manage the valleys so much more efficiently. This is a bigger scale, but I can still take what I've learned and, again, plug it into this circumstance and make it work for me. Yeah, for sure. Nats. Natty says, I think a lot of the time we see things as failures and feel bad because we didn't understand the lesson. That's why it's important to sit with it. For sure. For a lot of people, I think too, we don't look for the lesson. Maybe we just go, oh, I failed. And then again, that negative talk goes in. There we go again. I failed. I blew it, just like usual. And that sets us up for that negative momentum. And then again, we have almost like a chain on us, holding us back. We're trying to get up that next peak that's dragging us, or we're pulling that trailer that's a full load, but we didn't get momentum. So now we're trying to go from almost a standstill and get up that hill. So we have to look for the lesson in it. And then if you look for the lesson and are trying to be aware of it, find it's not so damaging or difficult or draining almost to look at. You know what? It didn't work, but what can I learn from it? What can I build from? Where did I go off track a little bit? What did I forget to do? Or what did I sort of get away from doing that was giving me success? Again, look at that when life works list. When I was at the peak, what was going well? And that's why we recommend for anyone goal setting, but with any clients I have, track what you're doing. Have a workout journal, have an app, not a nap. You can nap if you need to, but if you're using an app or a journal, whatever the case is, keep track of things so that you can celebrate the results and see your progress, but also go back and look and see, something's not right now. What's changed? What's different? I can go back and see, what, I'm getting less sleep now than I was before. How's that going to impact me? Is my valley causing the lack of sleep, or is the lack of sleep causing the valley? And how can I manage through that? What can I do to maybe get more sleep? Or if I'm not able to get more sleep right now because of this valley I'm in, can I get quality of sleep? If I'm sleeping less, but if I can keep the quality good, or maybe even a little better somehow, that'll benefit me. I can maybe recharge and reamp every night. You know what? I'm not sticking to my nutrition like I was. It's been really hot. I have a window there, so I keep putting this. It's really hot and humid this week, these last couple of weeks. Have I been drinking enough water? Have I been staying hydrated? Have I been keeping cool? Maybe I need to up my water for these next couple of weeks to make sure I'm full of energy and able to handle this heaviness that's there in this valley, this difficulty I have to deal with, being at my most optimal self. And that's what we want to try to be, is be operationally ready, be operationally fit. We want to be able to be ready for whatever life hands us. And the better we can take care of ourselves and learn about ourselves and create these systems, then the better able we'll be to handle these peaks, but also the valleys, and keep that momentum going as we progress towards our goal. So think of ways that maybe you've dealt with some valleys before that you've gone through. What did you do? How did you get through them? What strategies did you put in place? And you may not know them right now. You may not even have any idea. You may have just done what you did to get through it. But maybe sit and go back and reflect. When I had that difficult time at work, how did I get through it? When life gave me that big, unknown dose of bad news, how did I get through that time? When work wasn't going great and I wasn't happy, how did I get through it? Think back and look. there's going to be valleys somewhere in your life that you've gone through. What did you do to get through them? And what helped you come out of them? And again, take some of these skills and practices and experiences and apply them to what you're going through. And if you're not in one now, take some time, think about it, have things ready. So when it happens, again, you're ready to handle it, you're ready to manage it, and hopefully it doesn't slow down our momentum towards our goal. We can get through that valley relatively quickly. And again, there's going to be different life events and things. The valleys will be very deep sometimes and shallow other times. But the more we can go through and practice and create that system and that pattern, again, the better prepared we are to handle it. And we can modify it based on the depth of that valley at that time. But the important thing is accept it. It's a part of it. Take your time if you need to process it. Again, mourn, whatever the case may be, if depending on how heavy the situation is, how deep the valley is. But know it's part of your process. Accept it, learn from it, look at again what you've done before, keep that momentum going, keep that coast going down the hill on that bike. Give yourself a good pedal as much as you can before you get going. And building these practices and consistencies and these habits while things are working, again, will help us get through that valley. And we'll come up the other side even stronger and more experienced and better equipped to handle the next valley that we have to go down into. You can do it. Again, practice, patience, work, and consistency will help you get through. So that's it for tonight, gang. Thanks so much for being here. Again, we're here with you. We're here to support each other. If you need help getting through that valley, reach out to myself. You've friends in the chat. I know we have community people, and those of you have connected outside of PatFacts in your own communities, I'm sure are willing to help each other out with some of these things. Or reach out if you need some coaching, need some advice, need some to be pointed in the right direction, let me know. But you've got this. We can get through this. We can be prepared for the next one. Again, we've got the systems in place. We believe in ourselves, and we'll get through it together. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you back here next week for the next episode of PatFacts. Until then, everyone, stay safe, take care. Remember, always make yourself the priority you deserve to be by striving to be operationally fit. We'll see you next week.